I get it when a friend of mine says, "I'm thinking about getting a dedicated firewall for the office, but I'm not sure if it's worth the money." I pause because the last thing anyone wants is to pour cash into a device that ends up collecting dust. The hesitation usually comes from two places: the fear of buying something that's too complicated to manage, and the worry that you'll spend a lot now only to discover you needed a completely different tier of protection later. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's walk through why the Sophos XGS 136 Next-Gen Firewall might be the sweet spot for a small business, and where it could feel like a misfire for others. First off, a next-gen firewall isn't just a packet filtering box. It's supposed to combine traditional firewall rules with deeper inspection, things like intrusion prevention, web filtering, and anti-malware without turning your network into a bottleneck. In the real world, that translates to a device that can sit between your router and the rest of the office, handling everything from a remote worker's VPN connection to a point-of-sale system that needs to stay online 24/7. The XGS 136 is marketed for that exact scenario, a small to medium office that has enough devices to need granular policy control, but not so many that you need a chassis-sized appliance. Who should actually consider pulling the trigger? If you run a business with anywhere from 10 to 50 endpoints, think laptops, desktops, a few VoIP phones, maybe a couple of IoT cameras, and you're already juggling multiple security solutions, the XGS 136 can consolidate those pieces. The built-in stream protection, which Sophos touts as a way to keep inspection fast, is particularly useful when you have bandwidth-intensive applications like video conferencing. You'll notice the difference in daily usability. A single management console lets you push policies, monitor traffic, and generate reports without hopping between 3 or 4 different vendor portals. For a tech-savvy office manager or a small IT team, that unified view can shave hours off routine admin work each month. Another practical strength is the out-of-the-box licensing model. The unit comes with a 1-year subscription that includes the core security services, so you're not forced to chase down separate renewal emails for antivirus, web filtering, or intrusion detection. The US power cord means you can plug it straight into a standard wall outlet, which is a tiny but welcome convenience if you're setting up a shop floor or a co-working space where rack space is limited. The initial configuration wizard walks you through basic network mapping, VPN setup, and policy creation, so the first deployment can be done in a half-day if you have a basic grasp of networking concepts. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The XGS 136 is powerful, but it's not a plug-and-play consumer router. While the wizard eases the first steps, fine-tuning rules for specific departments or carving out exceptions for a legacy POS system requires a level of comfort with firewall logic that a non-technical owner might find intimidating. In practice, that means you may need to budget a few hours of consulting time or rely on Sophos support during the initial rollout. The 1-year subscription is also a double-edged sword. After the first year, you'll have to decide whether to roll over into a longer term, which adds recurring cost. For businesses that expect to scale quickly, that ongoing expense can become a larger line item than anticipated. Throughput is another practical consideration. The XGS 136 sits in the middle of Sophos lineup, so it's designed to handle the typical traffic load of a small office, but it isn't built for heavy data centers or for a location with dozens of high-definition video streams simultaneously. In a real-world test, an office that runs a few video calls, regular email, and occasional file transfers will see no noticeable lag. However, if you plan to host a local media server that streams 4K content to multiple workstations, you might start feeling the ceiling. That's not a flaw, it's a matter of matching the hardware to your actual traffic patterns. Who should skip it? If you're a home user with a handful of devices and a standard ISP router, the XGS 136 will feel like overkill. The learning curve, the subscription model, and the physical footprint are all more than a typical household needs. Likewise, large enterprises that require multi-gigabit throughput, redundant power supplies, and integration with existing complex security information and event management (SIEM) platforms will find the XGS 136 a step below their requirements. Those organizations usually go for the higher-end XGS models or even separate best-of-breed solutions that can be clustered for high availability. A practical weakness that often gets glossed over in marketing is the need for regular firmware updates. Sophos releases patches to address new threats, and while the device can be set to auto-update, you still